The Rookie Season 7, Episode 14 aired Tuesday, April 15 on ABC and revisited a number of storylines. Selena discovers that a popular true crime podcast is covering her sister's murder, prompting her to confront the host. Meanwhile, Tim receives a threatening message, which leads to an investigation into the dark web. Mad About Murder also features the return of Malvado, the hitman whom Bailey tipped off about her abusive ex-husband's location. While Nolan and Bailey worry that Malvado will reveal her secret, he is shot and killed at the end of the episode. Showrunner Alexi Hawley confirms that the death is meant to cap off the arc, as its purpose was to help Bailey come to terms with her trauma. However, he continues on to say that the plot could be revisited in the future if the right opportunity presents itself. Alexi Hawley, it really started with conversations about the true crime podcast as a phenomenon, in general, and then obviously it felt like Selena's story is the freshest, and the one that felt right for it. There have been a few articles out there about the true crime phenomenon, and they have conventions and everything, and in some way it can bring fresh light to stories. Obviously Serial is one of the early ones that did it, but then, there's the question of how much of it feels exploitative versus helpful, and all that kind of stuff. So, all that said, it really did feel like a great story conceit to investigate Selena's continuing coping with what happened to her sister, Alexi Hawley. In my head, unless something comes up that is interesting, I feel like it's fairly capped off. That Malvado storyline was there to really show Bailey's trauma with Jason on the loose and coming for her, and her having to sort of go through the re-traumatization of her past relationship and ultimately come to terms with the fact that there were things that she never admitted to herself. Even back then, it felt like a device more than something that needed to play in terms of long-term stakes. I do think that it's mostly served its purpose, but again, we might have a moment in the writer's room next season where we're like, oh, well, we could go here with it. But yeah, for now, what it did to her and what it did to her relationship with Nolan was the most interesting thing, to me, about it. Alexi Hawley, I think it's both. Honestly, what was really important to us as we launched the season was not to cheap out on the fallout from the breakup, that the damage that was done was real. We wanted to show the emotional impact it had on Lucy, and the realization from Tim that he hurt the person he loved most to punish himself, which was a sign that he had work to do, basically. It was important to us to see him commit to actually trying to be a better man, and it was important for us to have her realize she needed to make sure that she was putting her career and her emotional health first. That's why I think you've seen their ups and downs this season, which just felt very real to me. Even the hookups feel very human. People sometimes do things because they want to, while knowing that they might not be the smartest thing to do. But, as we've gone through the season now, we've seen them heading closer and closer together and their relationship getting healthier without them losing focus on the things that need to happen before, in theory, they get back together. Alexi Hawley, I always thought that Lopez and Tim had a special connection in my head. They were rookies together themselves. And, when you cast a show, and you see the actors together, you're like, oh yeah, let's lean into that. What's funny is that we have gone through so much story over the last 7 seasons that there are even things you forget. Even him becoming her man of honor type thing. I hadn't forgotten it, but it wasn't in the front of my brain. Then, when we started talking about the Lopez and Tim of it all, I'm like, oh, of course. They're amazing together. There are just so many moving pieces and so many characters on the show that sometimes it's always exciting to rediscover that they are special together. Alexi Hawley, yeah. I think that's one of those breadcrumbs that, when the time is right, we'll bring back around. I love planting those seeds, and finding actors who come in to do a part, where, you're like, oh god, we can't lose them. Many of our great characters over the years were found that way. Oscar was just meant to be a guy during a prison bus escape, and the second you see Matthew on screen, he's special, and you're like, how do we bring Oscar back? It was the same thing with Monica, and several other characters, and some we're still trying to find a way back to. We still love Elijah, but we just haven't found an organic way back into his storyline. But you never know.